Welcome. This is Soli Luna Inspiration. I'm with Dayana. I'm Martin. I've been talking a lot of French. My brother's visiting, so my accent is probably stronger. I want to thank everybody. We got to 756 subscribers. Yeah, we're moving along. We're going to get to 1,000 here. Thanks for supporting the channel. And thanks for asking so many beautiful questions and comments and engaging and sharing. All of that stuff means a lot to us. Here we are. We have a new moon coming up.
Yeah. Without further ado, should we dive in right away?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So we have a new moon coming up. It's going to be the Leo new moon since we're in Leo season. It's going to be on Wednesday, August 16th, and we are in the year of 2023 at 2:38 a.m. So that's in Pacific Standard Time. Adjust for your location. And all signs in this chart are pointing to pay attention. Martin, what do you think about?
Well, that's something I've been playing with. Pay attention. It started with my relationship, my intimate relationship, and realizing that our communication wasn't very good and that we were listening to each other, but we weren't paying attention. And so paying attention, there's a cost there that we pay. We pay attention. It has to cost us. We have to invest in paying attention. And so that really helped our relationship get much smoother, and we found ourselves to be much clearer about where we were because we were actually paying attention to what the other person was saying. It's more than listening, it's paying attention. So it's a deep kind of listening. But so in relationships, that's really important, but also in what's going on in the world. We need to pay attention to what's going on because these are very important times, and that's what we do in these videos is we pay attention to the stars. So why don't we, and how do you see paying attention? Does that make sense to you?
Paying attention. When I first read that term for this chart, I really loved it for a few reasons because I've seen a lot around money and business, and we'll get more into that as we go into the chart, but that's been a theme for sure since the full moon and around the full moon. And then the need for paying attention or things catch you off guard. Earlier today, something I actually wrote down that I really loved was if you don't like surprises, then start working on your intuition because things don't catch you on surprise as much if your intuitive senses are out there because you see a wave, you feel the wind of the wave coming before something happens.
Oh, that's good. That's good. If you're being surprised by events in your life, you're not paying attention.
Yeah,
you're not paying attention. Paying attention means tuning in to your life path and what you're going through as an individual and what's going on and you know the events in your lives. Pay attention. Okay, so let's look at the chart.
But you get something out of it too. I think that's the last thing I love to say is that like when you pay for something, it's usually an energy exchange. And so by paying attention to the other or the collective or the garden or the plant or the partner, whatever it is, the information or the knowledge or the bounty that you can get from that is so worth it, but it does take a lot of presence.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let's look at the main features. So we got highlighted 4 main features to this chart. What are these features, Day?
Well, this new moon, the sun and the moon conjunction, that is what a new moon is. And it's going to be right up beside Venus, which we all know is retrograde. So it's going to be highlighting this Venus retrograde quite a bit more, which should be interesting. It's been getting a lot of attention lately. It's quite a special summer with this Venus retrograde. I appreciate these words here, looking inward to shine out into the world.
Especially as Venus goes into her morning star phase, when she passes the sun in the conjunction of the sun and Venus, then she goes into the morning star phase. Now she becomes really introverted, you know, so the need to nurture your creative side so that you can be inspired to contribute to the outer world. That's the phase of Venus that we're entering. And then second thing is Mercury Mars conjunction and the Grand Kite. You want to show that to people. So we have Mars and Mercury approaching conjunction. They won't get exactly conjunct because Mercury is just about to turn retrograde. So she won't catch up to Mars till later this winter. But now they're very close together, and Mercury is approaching station, so he won't move very much. But they are engaged with the triad of a transformation into a grand kite. This grand kite will be constellated for the next 2 to 3 months. We're going to talk lots about it. That's a special flavor of the intensity, the collective intensity. It's like we're on the edge of a huge transformation. Now, this triad of transformation doesn't mature till the summer of 2025. So this energy is building. It's been building for a while, and we're feeling it, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. Sure are.
The third thing, well, that's the triad of transformation. So we talked about the first, the second, the third, the triad of transformation. That's Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. We'll flesh that out a little more.
And then Jupiter.
Well, times, they are the changing. Well, the Mercury Mars is time to do the work. Mercury and Mars, let's do the work. And then Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, times, they are changing. If you don't remember that line, that's from a Bob Dylan song. Of course, that came in the 60s. Time, they are changing. We're in a similar zeitgeist where times are changing. And the fourth thing is?
That Jupiter is getting awfully close to Uranus. And Uranus, the ground is shaking in Taurus. And now Jupiter is going to just, I think, bring a lot more light to that. So I like how you're saying finding your place in the world. And that may be a shaky road right now for a lot of us.
And then I was thinking about it, Jupiter, Uranus, Jupiter is often associated with travel, and then Uranus with surprises, so be careful, be mindful on your journey and pay attention. Okay, so let's look at that in on the table here. Okay, so you see here, can you see Venus? It's hiding behind the sun and the moon there, right? So when Mercury is turning retrograde, she's going behind, in between Venus, I'm sorry. Venus, she's going in between the sun, the moon, and the earth. They're just sneaking by, and she's just past the conjunction. And then Leo's ruled by the sun, so the sun is very strong. And then the moon, the sacred marriage of the moon and the sun and Venus in Leo. So, in order to be able to shine our light into the world, we need to be able to connect with the light within so that we can reflect it out. And I think that that's a great meaning of a Leo full moon. The Leo is so inspired because he's connected with the light within. Leo is a fire sign, very inspirational, inspired. And it's inspired, why? Because that word inspired, in spirit. It's inspired by spirit. And so then this connection with spirit that is only experienced through a spiritual practice becomes really important. And so then there's this kind of call. It's interesting. We're in a extroverted Leo season, but we're all called to more introversion. The seasons are changing, times are changing. Venus is becoming the morning star. It's time to really nurture yourself. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel that?
I think it's that, like, by the end of August, we're going to have about 5 planets retrograde too. So there's a lot of energy of things slowing down, preparing to reflect, or in Venus's case, already doing that.
And when the sun comes into Virgo, everything changes, right? We go from fire Leo to Virgo. And now we have already Mars and Mercury in Mercury ruled Virgo. So we're starting to feel that. So that Mars. So how do you see Mars and Mercury in Virgo? How does that translate in your symbolic world?
I guess a quick breakdown would be like Mars in Virgo really says like time to do the work and get rid of what you don't need and make these plans or these dreams come true. Organize yourself, analyze what needs to go. And then on the mental front, I find when Mercury and Mars come together, there's the ability to like act and think in the way you want in unison. So sometimes you may be needing to do a certain thing, but thinking about another thing we want to be doing, versus when they come together, it's easier to like think an idea and then follow through with that action.
Mm-hmm. Mercury and Mars in Virgo. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, so Mercury is exalted in Virgo, and Mercury has two homes, right? Gemini and Mercury in Gemini is curious, going everywhere, wanting to know everything. Mercury in Virgo is the aspect of Mercury that is the healer. It's the medicine maker. It's the goddess of the harvest. So the Mercury, like we talked about Mercury showing up for Odysseus in the Odyssey and giving him the antidote to Circe's curse and potions. And so then Mercury is the god who provides us with the potion to withstand psychic infection and psychic, so then Mercury in that sense is the healer, medicine maker, and Mars is the warrior, hero archetype. And Mars in Virgo, it's the manifestation of the hero as healer. And so then with that Mercury Mars in angle to the whole
Saturn.
Well, it's in opposition to Neptune, and then in trine to Pluto, and in trine to Uranus, with that what we're calling, whoops,
That's why
we put it
doesn't look
wrong.
like a
That didn't look
trine.
right. That didn't look right. Okay, sorry. We had Pluto in the wrong place. So then that's that grand trine, an Earth grand trine between Mars, Mercury, Uranus, Jupiter, and Pluto. High energy. What's your place into the world? And Neptune as the arrow, tip of the arrow of the grand kite, saying it's time to manifest the redemption quality of healing. And so that kind of breaks down the energy available during this new moon, huh?
Well, yeah, a lot of it. What would you say about coming back to the full moon now that we're on the board? What would you say about, sorry, the new moon? Specifically just this new moon and how to personally, like I like to use new moons for intention setting. So intention of paying attention for sure.
I think that if you pay attention, the natural thing to do is you set intention next.
Yeah.
So if you know where you're going and what's going on, then it's much easier to set your intention. So yes, pay attention, set your intention, do the work. And then transformation will follow that process.
Love it. Big times.
Big time, big time, big time. So there was one more thing that we needed to talk about. Well,
The triad or the conjunction?
Well, the triad, we talked a little bit about it, and we need to like flesh that out more.
That's
Again,
a video in itself.
This is 2 or 3 videos. We got a few videos about it, and I'll put a link at the end of this video to some of the videos about this triad of transformation and we talked about in the last video how all 3 planets are moving signs together, and they will be in an exact configuration, constellation in the summer of 2025. And so this is the maturing of an alchemical process. It started last year. It's starting to intensify this year. It'll go out of orb over the winter. And then next summer, it'll even be more intense. And then 2025, it's going to be the crest of the wave. And then the wave will crash. So we got this time to prepare ourselves. And I think all of us psychically, we're kind of feeling the need to make adjustments to what the invitation to the great changes that are taking place. And these things are not easy, and that's why it's important to
pay attention.
Woohoo! Okay, so that's that, and we can go into it more, but the Jupiter Uranus conjunction, and again we talked about it, and it only gets within 7 degrees till they both move retrograde, and they'll both move retrograde, and then Jupiter will come back, and in April it gets to be the exact conjunction. That's going to be a very powerful time, alchemical time. We're getting kind of a preview of attention and a preview of coming attraction, and again we talked about it last time as being finding your place into the world. You know, where do I become more effective? If I'm spinning my wheels and not really being effective in seeing the changes that I want to see, then this is a really good push that we're all getting to get ourselves aligned and to pay attention to the changes, and then to set our intention and then to do the work.
Yeah, I think personally, as I keep listening into friends and family and trying to pay attention to my life and then also what's around me in the world at large, there's been a lot of rumbling in the world and a lot of like sudden changes, or how do I say this? A lot of tightness around money for a lot of people, a lot of businesses, organizations, personal and collectively, and then talk about how we move forward. And then I think a big part of it was Pluto coming into Aquarius, but this cryptocurrency world that we are going to be entering to some level in the next coming years. I feel like this Jupiter conjunct Uranus, it's ruled by Venus. So as we're reflecting on our values and what we need and how to take care of ourselves to be able to shine our light in the world and to be able to be in healthy relationship with ourselves in the world, there's a lot of sudden changes happening right now, and a lot of awareness around what does and doesn't work for you. And when I think of Taurus, I think of like there's a level of, I don't know if neediness is right, but like, what do I get out of it, or what is my practical tangible value? So it has to do a lot with like money and resources. And so maybe reevaluating our resources and our what we value and what we need.
And so Uranus has been in Taurus for a long time, you know, and so it's like its 4th year in being in Taurus. So these, you know, Taurus is responsible for the natural resources that we need to live in abundance. And so Uranus brings about change and evolution. It kind of, you know, at first light, symbolically, Uranus in Taurus feels like an earthquake, you know, things are shaking, you know, so the structures, the economic structures, but it's not only the economic structures. I think that the political focus, the socioeconomics, of course, but also the mental health and psychological health and spiritual health issues are shaking. You know, it's like we're going through a crisis where we've kind of been pushing the issues of our times. We've been kind of avoiding them and coming up with stopgap policies and political to trying to avoid the crisis. We do these things to avoid the crisis. Now, the more you avoid the crisis and do things to stopgap things to avoid the crisis, the more you create more problems, and the crisis will only get bigger. And so now we're getting to the point where we've tried to avoid the crisis for so long that we're facing even a larger crisis. And at a particular point, we got to face the crisis head on and say, okay, we need to make courageous change. That's going to have a political, an economic, a social, but also a personal impact. And only if we change will the rest of it change. And so then this personal process, you know, this Leo individual, it's up to us to make the changes in our lives that will support the greater collective changes.
Yes. Good work. Good expression.
All right, and then let's look at the dates.
Before
important
we do
dates.
that, do we want to pull a card?
Oh yes. Pull a card. Any card. No rehearses. Oh, look at that. The 10 of Cups.
Oh wow.
The 10 of Cups. There's some abundance there. Well, it's, you know, are you familiar with Alan Oken?
No.
Alan Oken was a writer in the 70s and the 80s. Really a lot of great books. He's still around. Alan Oken moved to Spain. And he still teaches there, but he's getting quite a bit older. But some great books, Alan Oken. And he said about Leo, he said during the season of Leo, nobody should work.
I like it.
You shouldn't work. This is not a time for work. This is a time for celebration. And this guy is celebrating the abundance of the Ten of Cups. And so that's a beautiful image, isn't it?
Mhm.
So there's some celebration in this new moon, and with that Venus richness. And so there's a lot to be paying attention to, but there's also a celebration of what it is that we have and how lucky we have to have each other. We're really lucky to have you to support our channel, and I'm really lucky to have you to help
Likewise.
me do these shows.
Mhm.
Okay, blah, blah, blah.
So, some important dates and places to keep note. If you do track the stars and look at your chart, you can learn a lot about what your internal process is and the process in this world. We just came through the August 1st Aquarius full moon.
So we're doing this video on August 4th,
3rd.
3rd, 4th, and then August 1st was the Aquarius full moon. How was that for you? I'm curious.
That was wild. That was a lot. I guess that was 2 days ago. A lot of processes going on right now and a lot of change. And there's a lot of illumination on what I personally need to focus on, but also a lot of illumination on I don't actually know how to fully put that in words, where what's changing and what needs attention. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really important to pay attention, but also to find our place into the world, and that's obviously changing a lot, so much.
How was your full moon?
I found that really difficult, really challenging, confronted major issues in my personal life and in collective and in the clients that I support, where my foundation was shaken. And I think a lot of people are associating that with the Venus retrograde, because that's getting a lot of press. But I think it's about that Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto triad of transformation we've been talking about. That what I call, that preview of coming attraction. I think it's deeper than just simple Venus retrograde. Venus retrograde is important and it brings a lot of information. But this kind of tension we're going through, that's not Venus retrograde. That's deeper collective challenges.
That's, I guess, what I was trying to refer to earlier, where I feel like this Venus retrograde is actually highlighting what's going on in Taurus right now, because Jupiter and Uranus are ruled by Venus by being in Taurus.
Right.
So the Venus retrograde summer we're going through is bringing a whole different needing to really contend with and become aware of.
Well, I think it's
this
somehow
aspect.
making it easier to pay attention, or
Yeah.
more necessary, easier or more necessary, one way or the other. I think,
Spotlights there.
well, the world is rocking, and so are you paying attention and are you doing what you need so that you can shine your light into the world?
Yeah. Next up, Venus makes its conjunction, so it's
Well, the
special spot.
Lion's Gate there, we talked about it in the last videos, and that's really an important shift that's coming this weekend. And so I think we should pay attention to that. We renamed them Alchemical Opportunities because these are beautiful times to do rituals.
It's next Wednesday. Be a good time for a ritual.
Well, the full moon, but then the Lion's Gate, and then the Venus conjunct the sun. That's going to be really big. And then Leo new moon. This is the video we're doing at 23 degrees Leo. And then on the 22nd, Mercury station retrogrades. More about that coming up. We'll do a video on that to flesh it out.
August 29th, Uranus stations retrograde as well. It's gonna be at 23 degrees Taurus. If you have anything at that point with the fixed signs in your chart, take a look.
And the sun's journey through the sun enters about August 22nd there, and enters into Virgo, and then we have the Pisces full moon on the 30th. Uranus turns retrograde, Jupiter turns retrograde, and then Venus also on the 4th ends her retrograde and stations direct. So that these are the alchemical opportunities. Keep track of those, and then Day's gonna get us through some medicines.
Bringing it back into the body, as I mentioned in our last video, Leo rules the heart, and the tissue salt associated is magphos. So magnesium phosphate is tissue salt number 8, and magnesium is every time we contract a muscle, we use especially calcium, and every time we relax a muscle, we use especially magnesium. And so when things get too tight in our body, that can often show up like not enough magnesium in the system. We need a lot of magnesium. It's got over 300 functions in the body. And so not having enough can look like things like nervous headaches, spasms, like a twitching eye or a restless leg. It can also look like heart palpitations, angina, or muscle cramps. It's a really important thing to get in the system, and especially important for our heart. Magnesium phosphate, the tissue salt, can be found in walnuts, which is really fun. So it's a nice healthy summer snack if you're craving it. But yeah, magnesium phosphate, I would say magnesium is, if not the most needed mineral in our system. We need a lot of it. Just like this Leo is a lot of energy, we need a lot of magnesium.
How much magnesium can you take?
Oh, that's a really debatable thing. I think in Canada, they say a maximum of 600 milligrams a day, but I've also talked to a lot of practitioners who say up to like 4 grams a day. You do want to start.
So 4,000 milligrams. So,
but you start slow, because if you're supplementing it from a supplement form and not food, you can create it can flush the body too fast when you can see like a diuretic response. So,
what are magnesium rich foods?
Anything with chlorophyll.
So green stuff.
Greens. All your greens are so important. It's in nuts and seeds too. But the tissue salt is lovely because we can be eating greens and nuts and seeds, and yet our whole system is only dependent on what we absorb. So our digestive system is actually like an open hole.
Right.
And so things can go and pass right through. But if there's the tissue salt magnesium phosphate in your system, then you'll be able to actually absorb it into the cells of the body.
That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been really taking a lot of magnesium because all my bones are aching. And
Is
then
it like bone or is it muscle?
It's kind of muscle, but also, the joints, so yeah. So and then I saw you have St. John's Wort, and then you have marigold. So how do you take marigold?
Marigold, you can make a tea with it.
Oh, so you can make marigold tea.
Yeah, these are plants that are really related to Leo as an archetype. So helping us shine our light in the world, and also helping to strengthen the vitality in the body. So if you're feeling like maybe your Leo aspects of self are kind of diminished, or how do I say, not showing its fullness, or if you're in excess of this energy, you're very enthusiastic all the time, you may be on overdrive, and then you would definitely be needing magnesium to nourish and as a tonic. Sorry,
I'm all excited.
Yeah.
So would calendula kind of be related then, or would you prepare the marigold just like you prepare your petals of calendula?
Yeah, you could definitely do that.
And you could do a balm with it too.
Yeah, I haven't used or studied or looked at marigold topically much. I know internally it's really supportive digestively, but I don't know about topically as much.
Okay.
I'm sure it is nourishing though.
Cool. She's got so much knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know you don't want me to interrupt you when we go to your slide like that, so sorry I did that.
No, I love questions. Just let me get through the first part and I'm good.
Okay. Did we get through it?
Oh yeah, we're all good. Anything else for today in this session?
Well,
Do you feel complete?
I feel really good about this one. I hope you liked our show. It's about paying attention and doing the work, and understanding that times they are changing, and we need to support each other through these changes. And we're here for you for astrology, dream analysis, nutritional and herbal supports. And so reach out if you need some support. Otherwise, look after yourself, pay attention. We love you. Woohoo!
Happy summer. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.